So, do you have anything to add on or a piece of advice for the students and aspirants who want to become architect in their future?
We often confuse ourselves to successful overnight. Architecture is a very, very slow profession. Many of us kind of forget to think that we have a lot of time. If I am taking the example of a Japanese garden in Kyoto, there is the famous moss garden in Kyoto. It's very, very huge. The main gardener, while he was walking, was having a tweezer and picking out the weed. So the moss garden is very huge. Kyoto is world famous. And this guy went and asked him, how are you finishing it on time? Like, how can you work with just this much? Because this guy is focusing on a very small batch. And the entire garden, it's been there for 34 years. So he said, I have plenty of time. I never think that I don't have time. I have plenty of time, which I think is very, very important for us to consider. We often think we don't have time. My parents are asking me, when are you going to survive on yourself? And there are a lot of people in the society who are asking you continuously questions about your success. We have time. We have a lot of time.
Have you ever looked at a waste and thought, can I build something interesting or creative out of it? Sounds crazy, right? But our today's guest has made an entire career out of it. He is not just an architect building designs, but also a man who has changed the perspective of seeing materials. We welcome you to the Edsca Global Podcast, and we also welcome Mr. Vinu Daniel, a renowned architect, to our podcast. We are delighted to have you, sir.
Thank you.
So before delving into the podcast, I have a question. There are many ideas and technologies that have come up to the market, but still there are same type of buildings that are seen mostly. What may be the reason behind it?
The market has gotten very comfortable with the existing materials and small changes here and there. That is why you see the same typology of buildings.
Yes.
Yeah.
So our audience have asked few questions which I would like to bring forward. First thing, you have worked with Oroville Earth Institute and later started World Makers.
Yes.
What inspired you to take the path of sustainable architecture?
To be honest, I didn't know much about sustainable architecture when I started studying. I too was confused. I didn't exactly know what to pursue. And I thought architecture course itself was meaningless until I discovered Laurie Baker. And the second I discovered Laurie Baker, who is known as the Gandhian of our architecture, I found out that architecture also can be something useful. My initial perception of architecture was that architecture is something very, very harmful to the nature. And it shouldn't be encouraged too much, was my initial perception. But a chance meeting with Laurie Baker proved me wrong. And he showed that architecture can really be a part of nature, less harmful, and create a lot of art.
The next question is, your first project was just a compound wall. Now you have built homes and structures that people all over the world talk about. What was the turning point for you?
My initial project was not a compound wall. It was just that they didn't allow me to make the house. They told, they were very skeptical about mud blocks. And they told me that you can either build the compound wall or leave the project and go. So I had no choice but to start with the compound wall. Today, people are talking about this because it was a long, it wasn't a sudden moment of change for me. Things didn't change overnight. It took few years to change. In fact, almost 10 years to change people's perception.
So there are many students who want to do something different but are scared to take a risk. What advice would you like to give it to them?
Taking a risk is something which comes from your love of something, isn't it? Like every movie you have seen, every work you have seen, every project you have seen is a project of love. So the whole point is when you believe or love something, you generally tend to take risk. So the students who are really, who really love architecture are bound to take risk, because they believe in it.
Yes, sir. At Edsca, we teach students tools like BIM, CAD, AR and VR. How important is these technologies in modern architecture?
These tools are very, very mandatory in converting your vision or idea into drawings which a layman can follow. For example, a mason or a welder, whoever has to understand this. They cannot immediately understand your vision. It has too many complicated things. It needs to be brought down to drawings. So yes, this type of teachings are absolutely necessary and paramount.
So, some say technology is replacing creativity in design. Do you think AI and automation are helping or hurting architects?
It is always something that will be questioned. Initially, computers, I come from the land of Kerala. And when initially Rajiv Gandhi proposed the idea of bringing computers in Kerala, I remember there was a lot of, I was too small at that time, but later on we were told that there was a lot of strikes and hartals against the onset of computer. But today everyone has to use computer, and computer didn't actually take away jobs, it actually brought more jobs. We have to accommodate to change. Change is anyway happening. So I believe that all these tools are good in some sense. It helps us make better versions of our product there. But if it threatens someone, that is because they haven't practiced it enough or they cannot go beyond a certain vision. So you have to keep on adjusting. But I believe all these things are here to stay.
Yes, sir. Busting myth about sustainable architecture is our next topic. Many people think eco-friendly buildings are expensive and impractical. How do we change this mindset of the people?
There is some truth in that fact. Eco-friendly buildings are at this point of time expensive and a bit difficult because we moved away from eco-friendly architecture. As your initial question said, the first question which you asked was talking about how the market, you don't see so many changes in the buildings. The market conditioned itself to few materials which we call conventional architecture or conventional material practice. And the market is comfortable with that. They threw out every eco-friendly material out of the market that the common man or a normal person finds it difficult to get the material. For example, I practice with mud blocks. I have to make mud blocks. It is not available on the market. I cannot go to a shop and ask for mud block. But I can always ask for a cement block. There is no problem in asking for a cement block. So in some sense, because the market has moved away from sustainable materials, it looks expensive and a bit difficult on the onslaught. But we believe that the market is gradually changing, and many of us are actually benefiting from that change and finding it more economical to do eco-friendly material and practice.
One of your most famous project, the Jewelry House, looks like it's a part of nature itself. It's a beautiful blend with the nature. How do we teach young architects to design with nature and not against it?
For that, there are a lot of hurdles for the young architects. First of all, their teachers must be oriented. The course must be oriented. There are a lot of problems with the course and with the way the teachers or the current set of teachers are executing their pedagogy. There's a lot of problems in there. Now, all of this has to change for a kid to seamlessly merge eco-friendly part in their works. So there are a lot of hurdles in front of the young students who really want to practice eco-friendly architecture. But the course or the pedagogy or the current scenario is aligned towards the conventional market. And you can't expect suddenly everybody to change. Change happens in small batches. And it is happening. But it will take a bit more time for us to entirely focus on this alternate practice.
From this, a question came to my mind, which is the major setback or challenge you have faced in your entire career span, and how did you overcome it?
The major setback which I faced 20 years ago and today is perception
Perception.
and the attitude. The main problem is people perceive eco-friendly architecture to be something unpractical, undoable, and simply not fitting to their purse, which is wrong. So this perception has to change, and that was my biggest enemy then, now, and I think forever.
The last question. For an architecture student with big dreams but no resources, where is the best place to start?
They had to start practicing, learning from people who are doing. But the biggest challenge in front of architecture students and recent graduates is that they do not give themselves enough time. We often are in a hurry to reach the goals or achievements at an early age in life. We do not give ourselves time. Architecture is a slow profession.
Yes.
You cannot get to become very successful overnight. It doesn't happen like that. So some of us are comparing ourselves to other fields like IT and all, where success is very much very near to your grasp, and you get success at a very young age. Architecture, true and honest way of practice is a bit slow. So the students must be ready to give themselves plenty of time to achieve that target.
Sir, did this ever happen to you? You have walked into a building and you just felt like, no, I just need to redesign this building, redesign this monument.
Always.
That's great, sir. It was amazing having you here, sir. We are truly thankful you came and you gave your understanding and knowledge to us. It's truly a very, very valuable learning for us. It was wonderful having you, sir.
Thank you, and all the best.
Thank you, sir.